The internet is completely awash with relationship advice, particularly TikTok. Not only that, but mental health, work on yourself, don't worry about your family, only you, here's the therapy. Now, if we want to dissect this therapy and get back to the ultimate juicy roots of it, I'm noticing some curious things that these individuals interested in self help and the philosophies around it are completely missing out on, getting away from. And it seems like because of this, we are living within a fictional reality, an illusion of sorts that has been set up by our current idea of relationship, by a shroud of what we believe it is, and our belief that if we believe something hard enough, it will be correct, it will be right, it will be there, the power of positive thought. But in this hell, in this illusion, is the fact that we need to go back to and look square in the face. Carl Jung, Nietchez and Shauoenhaur, if you talk to them about relationships, relationship dynamics, how these things work, and you compare it to the current view of self-help for women, it is terrifying. It is terrifying. Okay, so let's face it. Within religion, like let's say me being white, my religion was pretty much like Christian Catholicism and Disney society. We have that society norm that goes over top of religion. Like let's face it, in our weddings when we get married, very little of that is actually associated with any religion. I still need to find a religion that has diamonds associated with marriage, and the more I look into it, the more I see a conspiracy within the DeVries Diamond Organization, taking something that's basically rare or uncommon all over the world, making it extremely rare, limiting supply in damn near all of the world except for Canada. Legitimately, you want to look up an interesting story? Hey, if sadness is the only way you'll look up a story, hey, it's associated with blood diamonds, right? Remember that, sadness? So go after it, you psychic vampire. I'm sorry. I swear to God, I have to have some kind of sadness associated with something to make people actually go and look into it. Everyone's addicted to sadness, abuse. It's very rarely that a success story will go as far as a tragic story about vengeance for abuse. I'm sorry, I need to get that hatred out of there and get back to the point. Now, the point being what Carl Jung, Nietchez, and Schopenhauer seen within relationships. Men are one way, and men are horrible for this, that, and the other thing. Women are another way. Here's what we're not allowed to say, but is absolutely true, and puts us in, and the fact that we can't say it puts us in a hell. The yin yang, women also can be horrible. Not can be, but are horrible. Like, men are horrible, women are horrible. Men have certain needs, women have certain needs. Men think, hey, maybe I could rob that bank. Women think, hey, maybe I could rob that bank. We do have some differences, and it seems to be a 60-40 thing. Men are generally more disagreeable 60% of the time. Women are more agreeable 60% of the time. But geez, when you're a woman, you need to be. You're looking after a kid, right? And so you need to be very agreeable because, man, sometimes in ancient situations, if your kid was screaming, the wolves knew where you were. I'm sorry, moving on from that. So let's face it, men have needs. Like, men have physical needs. Sexy time is a big deal to a man. It is such a big deal. It is such a big deal that these days if a teenage girl says, hey, big guy, go out, do in my ex and I'll do something for you. It is such a fundamental, on a fundamental level, not even 18 years old now. It is on such a fundamental level that they're both going to get pinched for it, basically, because offering sex at a fundamental level, guys, can we face it? Men will lie to women for sex. Flat out frickin' lie. will lie forever. We will lie forever to a woman. Remember, Team America, I will have sex with you if you tell me you'll never die. The guy was like, I will never die. Guys, ladies, this is a thing. This is absolutely a thing. Men have been faking reality for women for a long time. It's been getting incrementally better as time goes on. Okay, so this is a hell that I don't want to talk about, but we have to face associated with all of this stuff. Within previous generations, child abuse was shh, you don't want to say it. A lot of times mom even heard, grandma even heard, and they're like, la 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 la, oh, look how beautiful the sky is, I can't handle that information. But within that is a responsibility that we actually had to deal with, but wasn't actually getting done with, that rolled into generational trauma that caused generational monsters. Like, legitimately, we are not comfortable talking about this reasonable stuff that legitimately happened 3 or 4 freaking generations ago, just like we're not comfortable talking about things that legitimately are screwing us up today, all because we are trying to get out of this place where we don't want to share information. I mean, the only reason the government is okay now talking about aliens and UFOs is legitimately because old people who were religious. Now I'm 6, almost 7 minutes into this, and I have to set all of this stuff up for what I'm about to say. This is the shitty part about women, if you want to talk about all of those individuals. So men have the physical need. Women also have needs of their own. Women are manipulative. Women basically, women manipulate because they have to manipulate. Now let's dress that up and not give them shit for it, because this is survival, legitimately, and you gotta survive. Women have something that men want. There's a trade-off. But the legitimacies of it and the reality within it versus what we say the reality is versus is... Guys... When we bring reality into relationships, Disney leaves the situation, okay? Disney leaves. There are no gods. There are no angels when it comes to this stuff. At the end of the freaking day, at the end of the day, it's survival. Women manipulate. Men manipulate. So we've had decades to talk about how men manipulate. We have billions of hours to talk about how men manipulate. We don't have quite so much to say about how women manipulate, because I gotta be real careful with exactly what I say. But if you listen to what I say and then objectively look for what they said, not what other people say they said, but what they said, is ultimately there's survival. And I've heard many a woman tell me this, survival. And there was one woman that told me that she was ultimately talking about using a man to get cigarettes. She wanted to get cigarettes, and she wanted to get, so she used the guy to get cigarettes. And she's like, ha 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 ha, I'm cool, yeah. So, like, okay, you used him. Did you give him something for that? Was there a trade-off? Yeah, but I didn't actually give it to him. And I'm like, that's like, okay, all right, he didn't smoke. He did it just for you. Like, I'm making up little bits of this situation now. But at a certain point, it was clear that she was just using him. And I mentioned this to her, and she said it's survival. Those are legitimately the words she used, as if she pulled it from her subconscious in conversations that she's had with other women. It's survival. You can't, none of these individuals downed women for it. It's survival, and it's a way to push the species forward, ultimately. And it's difficult. It's difficult coming from someone who really longed for that Disney thing. But what really, really gets me about the whole situation is it just rings true to the divorce that I had. It was transactional during the divorce, or this disgusts me, but at the end of the divorce, she was spreading information about me, like talking about my depression problems and laughing about it with the neighbors. And of course, it was okay if the women did this kind of stuff. Isn't it interesting that they could take my mental health issues and laugh about it and take it apart, but if I was to take the nudes that she sent me and dress them up and send them around, that would be legally against the law. But she could take everything that I said to her and take these things as if they were a currency, take them to a conversation outside and use it as a currency. Oh, well, your husband did that. Well, mine did this, this, and this. And the parenting thing, my views on parenting, my views on this, that, or the other thing, she would immediately misrepresent and then carry them to other people and then act as if she was abused. And this whole time, it would have been lovely. It would have been lovely if she would have just told me. She ends up divorcing me later on. And sorry, I'm all over the place continuity wise. Once she starts doing that, she starts telling me, you can leave. The neighbors will take over. The community will take over for you. The village will raise the kids. And it just snaps immediately with all of these classic philosophers seen. So within all of this, all of these classic philosophers agree that our inherent idea of relationships is completely toe up from the flow up. It just is not working. I mean, not in the Disney way. Not in the Disney way where you meet someone, you fall in love, and you live happily ever after. That doesn't happen anymore. Let's face it, capitalism has facilitated Disney as a pseudo-religion. It's in an American God's theory, Mickey Mouse is legitimately a god right now because they keep changing copyright law based on the House of Mouse. They don't want Mickey to fall into public domain, though the original Mickey is now in public domain. They've made everything so hard to obtain. I can't use things. Even it's so unbelievably hard to get old recordings. Even if you want to get a recording that's out of copyright protection, you have to get the LP, record it yourself, or because shit, man, what Sony did is they filled the Library of Congress, which is free to download but not free to use because the things that they put into it are their recording. They made the recording, though they made it for the Library of Congress, and though it is out of copyright protection because it's almost 120 goddamn years old, they still own the copyright for it because they recorded it. Guys, control. Women keep talking about control in relationships, but you can see it right there, right? Now, what really pisses me off is the original Steamboat Willie used music that had recently been created and was not copywritten. And on top of this, the values and the morals of the House of Mouse have changed over time. As society has changed, as everything changes, let's face it, as everything changes, but the new Snow White is nothing like the old one. It is a freaking abomination. And in that, we are in a universe where the House of Mouse, these American gods, decided for us that this is what we wanted. They pushed it out to us, saying, this is what you want. The rich people, who have all the money, as the lower class is drawing up, saying, this is what you want. This is what you want. And a lot of that seems to have been pushed on by this fourth wave I'm sorry, I know how this sounds. This neo-feminist idea that you can project and manifest your reality by being bitchy. I really think the last 20 years has been nothing but women being really bitchy because they think they can manifest one thing or another because of how society is supposed to be based off of their dream, based off of reality. Now, what was the reality for women like 100 years ago? It wasn't good. It needed to be changed. It needed to be reformed. But at a certain point, at a certain point, we need to be reasonable. At a certain point, we can't just... Charlie Chaplin said in The Dictator, men with machine hearts and machine minds has goose-stepped us into a world where people think too much and feel too little, and we needed to feel and think less. Was that it? Yeah, that's right. They think too much and feel too little. Well, I strongly think that we've gotten to a point where people are feeling too much and thinking too little. We've legitimately gotten into a situation where a god has released a story that's always perfect, Snow White, and it just flopped. It just freaking flopped. So that is the illusion. We're all carrying this emotional illusion put on by women that, though is necessary and though casts a shade of protection, also casts a shade of hell. Now, a lot of these women are bringing more people into the countries, every country, all across the West. Let's face it, our love for individuals mostly pushed on by this female narrative. This DEI that we are now seeing is primarily for the better of white women and not for minority people. And we're finding that out now in the United States. We're bringing people into the country that we don't have homes for. If you're in America, you might have homes. But the rest of us in the West, we are in a housing crisis. Now, this puts people in the lowest places in the worst jeopardy. And while we're bringing more individuals in, we're not building more houses for the children, particularly the little girls. Women are often used. Women are pawns. Women are currency in some men's hell. We need to understand and facilitate this. Now, if we bring a whole bunch of people in, these women are going to have fewer places to go. These little girls are going to have fewer places to go. And as time is going on, at least within Canada, and I'm sure you'll find in other places too, sugar daddy, the sugar mama, sugar daddy mentality has us opening our houses, or it's certain horrible individuals opening houses and rooms for sex. That's a thing in Canada now. You can't say it's not. The apartment board, whatever you want to call it, the official renting apartment board, they have had to face facts after CNN got into it and said, hey, this is happening. Now, the fact that this is happening to children is dark matter. We have calculations to say that it's happening. Right now, I can tell you it's happening more in Guelph than it's happened before. Kids getting trafficked, let's say. I can't really even say the words because... Anyways, so that's the calculation. We're bringing in all kinds of immigrants. The people with mental health issues have no other places to go. The immigrants are taking other places. The immigrants are taking up the only places that are affordable. The places that are not affordable have been fixed up by a lot of white people who did renovations to houses, which was really just removing a single wall. Sometimes it was load bearing. And in this, we have a hell that we don't want to face. Women can be manipulative. That's their side. And even if we want to say that women can be manipulated, we're incel. Just like that. We're hardline incel. Just like that. We can't say anything negative about women or we are incel. I've had a few women so bloody angry with me that they made such webs of lies and nonsense. And it's interesting how many of them will just go out and get information about you without even checking other women, without even checking anything. It's fascinating. And I gotta say, objectively, as someone who's dated and as somebody who's went out there with positive intentions, I have never gone through my girlfriend's phone. All of my girlfriends have gone through my phone. All of them. They make rules for men and women, but the rules are different for each side. And trust me, they're definitely different in the divorce scene. Now, we're waking up to this. We're slowly figuring it out. But guys, we're not even 3 generations away from a time when children... We're not even 3 generations, maybe 4 generations away from when children were nothing but farm hands. And if your cat had too many kittens, you put it in a bag and you threw it into the river. If your dog got too old, you tied it to a rock and you threw it in the river. That's how things go around here. That's the practical way. If your pig has deformed fetuses, you threw it as hard as you could against the wall. The other pigs would probably eat it. Guys, there's realities and hells that we don't want to face. We don't want to talk about women. There are realities and hells that you deal with in and of yourselves that you know about. Women absolutely know about, and they could spend all day making books about it, about how horrible. Like, the female experience is so terrifying that I strongly feel like if I tried to act like I could describe it, it would be like a white person using the N-word. But at the same time, ladies, get off men's necks and accept that you facilitate hells for them too. Let's talk about some of these hells. There are women that specifically want to have kids with specific guys just so that they can use them financially. It's topical. We know this stuff. Let's stop acting like it doesn't happen. Guys, like these women self-help groups and this internet stuff, all of these people know things aren't working out the way they wanted to. The gentlemen aren't at the club. The gentlemen who are there aren't popping the bottles like they used to. It really seems like we had this facade that was delivered to us by media of various different types. Now, this media seems to have given us this notion or this idea of the religious, fundamental idea of the perfect relationship, the perfect whatever. And this keeps changing. And the more I watch the Woman's Network, the more horrified I am about, like, if you legitimately go for some of the morals on these Hallmark movies. I watched one where a woman couldn't stand this guy because he was working all the time to facilitate a wonderful life in the city for her. And then she ends up going back to her hometown and falling for some guy who's just standing in the middle of the road. And hey, that's it. She loves him. She gets together with the family, and hey, that's it. Okay. Okay, all right. So did she break it off with the old guy even 50-50, or did she take him for everything that he was worth? When she went to the small town, was she legitimately happy, or did she start really laying into the new guy about all the old problems that, I mean, there's this idea, there's this facade, you can dress it up, we can put it out there, but does that make it helpful? These days, things that we don't want to talk about, There's lots that we just don't want to talk about. And back in the day, we could talk about it. Like the idea that there's different smut for men and women. Men like the picture stuff, women like the written literature. It is both just as harmful. Harlequin romance novels are just as bad for any relationship as pornography. Women's self-help and relationship advice can be just as bad. Just as bad. 50% of the people on TikTok are just as bad as being addicted to Harlequin romance. Harlequin romance is the same to a woman what pornography is to a man. And we're not even okay with looking into that, which is really messed up. Like, we know this, but we won't look into it. Now, here's the interesting thing. Pornography, Harlequin romance, like all of these things exist online. Literotica.com is a wonderful resource for erotic information, for erotic stories. Wonderful, lovely, lovely. Women go there. Okay, if you're guys, if you're dating, drop that in there. If your woman is into an erotic thing, you'll have unlocked something. Literotica.com. Lovely stuff. Where was I going? Jeez, whew. Just thinking about some of the stories I've read there. Okay, so there's because of ethical bullshit, there's things that we will never be able to know about because ethical bullshit. But however, computer guys, we don't have those conundrums. Now, we wanted to know just what kind of smut women were into. And when we looked into it, we found out that women were into stories about pirates, surgeons, doctors, cowboys, and I always forget one of them. Can't frickin' remember. But anyways, it's interesting that we can't look into that's information that we had to look into it by having non-ethical eyes. So if we look at everything ethically, we see this illusion that we facilitate for women and children, but we have very much lost out on what it does to men. But that's the thing, men are kind of worthless, right? They're not as valuable as the women. They're definitely not as valuable as the children. We can all agree that. Kids, number one. So the illusion and the facade that we're all living in right now is there's something inherently redeeming. There is something ethereal, magical, and religious about the marriage, about getting a woman, settling down, and living. But the reality of it, for the most part, is that it is transactional at a certain level. At a certain level, we want to say that being married will, or being in love will fill your tummy. Butterflies and all of that stuff. But when you get down to the psychologist level and the philosopher level, your Disney bullshit is a facade. And the stories that came from Disney and these media were well made over in order to appease a new audience, and is subject to change. Relationships change. All of these things change. But one thing that's very important that we focus on is women are every bit as evil as men are. It's a lot easier to see how men are evil. And the more that I look into situations of women suffering, the more I see some situations, a minority of situations, let's say as high as 6%, just 6%. And I'm going to say that's a little bit on the high side, of women overinflating situations that have happened so that they can meet criteria to be on a list of how abused you are. And these days we seem to have an abuse Olympics going on. It's not about how far you've come, it's about how much you've been abused. I can't tell you how much more boob I would have been able to touch in the last few years if I had just done and just gone on with whatever narrative women had been pushing that I was dating. But then I, I kind of realized I like reality, and I even ran into this one woman who seemed to want me to tell her that her ex's kids were cooler than mine. That ain't happening. That ain't happening. But you will literally, legitimately get men that will finesse that and work around it so that they can get this, that, or the other thing. Sorry, I'm not having that. I'm not having. Wow. Sorry. So I have to. What happens if you get a messed up woman with a deviant idea that has a Karla Homolka and whatever his name was? See, women have the ability to do this stuff. Karla Homolka. Oh wait, no. Let's not. I regret saying anything about that. I just remembered he like manipulated her a little bit. Let's just say that. Let's just say I digress. I digress. I'm not prepared to go that far. I'm not prepared to go. I thought I was. I'm not. I'm not. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, her own sister. I'm not ready for that. I take that back, okay? Wow. Wow. Okay, that's enough humanity for right now. Because we don't need to judge it all based off that situation, because that situation was a insane, we can all agree that was an insane one-off. Maybe, wow. Yeah, I think I'm done here. I think we're done here. That's dark enough for me. Anyways, wow. Wow. So men can be really messed up. Women can also be really messed up. And by acting like that, they aren't messed up and they don't have the ability to messed up. To be messed up, we are facilitating a hell. And I'm real not too happy about the fact that today these psychologists would be considered incel, and we can't openly talk about these things because we have individuals gatekeeping truth at the educational and societal level, and I am too stupid not to talk about it. Anyways, that's it for me, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good one. Take care of each other. Don't look too hard into the void.